Hey, what's going on, you fellow mammals with opposable thumbs? Hope you all are having a fantastic Wednesday evening. I just wanted to hop on here and give my brief thoughts on Exporting Raymond, a documentary currently available to stream with the Criterion Channel. Hashtag not sponsored. Like, definitely not at all. I'm just exploiting my 2-week free trial. And then I'm dipping. I apologize to the to the good people at Criterion. Maybe I'll add you on as a streaming service another day. But anyways, I watched a film called Exporting Raymond. It's about Phil Rosenthal, the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, which, if you don't know, is a great, very funny, very memorable sitcom. And him traveling to Russia to essentially help reboot and remake a version of his show. But instead for American audiences, it's going to be for Russian audiences. And as such, the title of the show is changed from an American name Raymond to a Russian name, Kotya, I believe it was. And when I first heard that this film existed, I knew I was going to have to see it. It's just, not only do I have a personal connection with the show, but the story it sounded so fascinating. And it absolutely was. This is one of the most interesting documentaries I've ever seen. And it's part of the reason why I almost wish that, like, just everybody had cameras with them whenever they were going to do something unusual. And it's one of those movies that I never want to see remade as in any sort of fictional way, because the actual story itself is just so fascinating and so compelling that there's nothing that can be better than that. There's nothing that can top that. You can't make the story that Exporting Raymond tells more interesting. And a part of that is because it really is just a bunch of straight footage of Phil, going on this little adventure, for lack of a better term. And I love that there's not a ton of, just pictures. Like, almost every single important event, in fact, honestly, not even almost, just every single important event, every important beat in this story has accompanying footage with it. And it makes the movie truly special, because it is you just kind of going on this adventure with Phil, who, by the way, is an excellent subject for a documentary. He's funny, he's dorky, you connect with him emotionally, you feel when he's frustrated, you feel him when he's feeling hopeful. And the documentary, through making him so interesting and through making the Russian culture so interesting, you grow to want to see this show succeed. You might feel frustrated about things, because it can be very frustrating at times, because Phil is saying one thing, but then one of the Russian crew members is saying another thing, and you kind of get them both. You get Phil, who's like an expert on this and know how these things work, at least in America. But then you also understand the Russian crew and the Russian TV show makers who understand how things work in their country. And that's what makes this movie more compelling than anything else, is to watch these two different cultures that share a huge similarity in that their television audiences love sitcoms, but then, butt heads at everything else. And I'm not going to spoil exactly what they butt heads over. That'll be something for you to experience if you watch the movie. But to watch the battle of wits ensue and the clashes of priorities is really, really interesting, and it leads to a lot of memorable moments, a lot of memorable people. I don't want to call them characters, because they are, actual humans that exist. And it makes the movie just very entertaining. It's a movie it's a documentary unlike anything I've ever seen before. However, there are some things that I didn't love about it. And the first thing is that there isn't anything that interesting going on with the filmmaking. I judge films as art, and because I do count documentaries as films, that means they get judged as art too. And not a ton happens with the editing or with the cinematography. It really is just straight footage. Now, a part of me does like that a lot. Like I said, it makes the film feel very genuine, and like you're actually going on this adventure with Phil. But you are still a movie. And there were times that it didn't really feel like anything that special was happening and it could have been more just a very long DVD extra. But that's not really a big problem. It doesn't affect my score for the film too much. What does affect my score for the film is that when it does try to do interesting filmmaking, when it does try to do different styles of editing, it's usually really bad. It's there's a few different sequences in the movie where they cause quite a ruckus on the screen, and it's always very jarring. It feels a lot more like an interruption than it feels like an actual part of the movie. This is especially evident in the scene where they play that awful Britney Spears song, where the movie sound mixing is also made clear to be terrible, and it just doesn't work. Adam McKay, who made Vice and The Big Short, he's able to do that very effectively, the crazy editing, because it feels like it's a part of the movie, and because it's also constant as well. But the crazy editing in this, in Exporting Raymond, does not work at all. I think that it really does bog the movie down. But that's really it. Those are really my only complaints. And when your movie just has a few brief moments of irritation on top of a pile of fascinating intrigue, I'm still gonna love your movie, even if it has some things I don't like. I wasn't sure if this was one I want to buy, but I think I will. I think this will be something I'll buy on DVD in the coming weeks. And yeah, I honestly, because the story is so different and interesting, I really would recommend downloading the Criterion Channel just for this. But definitely go exploit it. There's lots of weird, interesting things in there. And yeah, I'm going to give Exporting Raymond a 7 out of 10.